me tell you a little bit more about what's coming up. So this panel is around how investors will respond to bull and bear markets, with Jehan, managing partner and co-founder at Kenetic, Mark Pimentel, founder of Kronos, Harry Yu, co-founder of Jove Capital, Roger Haenni, co-founder and CEO of Datum, and Jason Xu, Taiwan Congressman and Legislator. And then after that, we'll be learning about hash time block contracts, ECF Foundation, as well as a final keynote from Legislator himself. So to the panelists, I'd like to invite you onto the stage. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're nearing the end of the day. Thanks everybody for sticking around. Once again, my name is Jehan and I'm the co-founder of Kenetic and the founder of the Ethereum meetup here in Hong Kong. Today I'm joined by a number of very special guests to talk a bit about the bulls and the bears and the markets, which I think is a topic which is on everybody's mind. But we're going to do our best not to talk too much about price and really talk about some of the fundamentals of the market rather than just the kind of volatility. But before we start, why don't we just go down the line and have everybody introduce themselves. Do me a favor, tell the audience your name, your organization, as well as your relationship to investing, because I know that not everybody here is a fund like we are. So why don't we start with you, Jason?
Number one is I don't invest. I'm a legislator and a member of Parliament. So there are certain rules that prevent someone like me to do something in the market. But I guess, oh, by the way, my name is Jason Xu. I am a legislator and a member of Parliament from Taiwan. And I also have a nickname called Crypto Congressman. It's a nickname given by a colleague. So I'm very happy to support this event. And my good friend Jehan invited me and I thought it was an interesting panel for someone like me who is a lawmaker, who is a legislator, to observe the trends and also some of the future developments of the regulations in this space.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Pimentel. I am a co-founder of a company called Kronos. We are a company based in Taiwan. We are looking to tokenize trading strategies. My background is actually in quantitative trading. I spent 12 years working in different hedge funds, trading companies, dark pools. So I study market microstructure. I study it from kind of a very granular basis, and I specialize in short-term price prediction.
Hi, I'm Roger Haenni. I'm the CEO of Datum. We do a decentralized data store for debt developers, and we ran a token sale last year. And we have over 10,000 token holders, so my interest is in balancing the token holder interest versus the economics in our network, which is already live now. And then of course the other point is also a bit like the treasury management of what you raised in the token sale.
Hi, my name is Harry. I'm from Jove Capital. I'm a co-founder of Jove Capital. And I think now we are the first fund from Beijing. We're based in Beijing, and we are here to Hong Kong to join this meeting. We are quite excited about. We're trying to do to get more connections between Chinese projects and Chinese like what is going on in China and what is happening in Hong Kong. Trying to get more connections, and we are first market crypto fund. We do investment, and also we have our own media services, which is also tonight media support called the law of blockchain. So the card is exactly to come to be here.
Great. So why don't we start off with the first question here? Let's make this kind of interactive. I don't really have that many questions. I just want to come and chat with you guys. We all come from different areas, from kind of government and startup and trading and investing. Why don't we start off with you, Mark, and think about what's happening in the market right now. How do you describe the kind of events or the movement of the last, let's call it 2 to 3 months? What do you think what's your best kind of guess or your best description of what's happening?
I think that the crypto markets in some ways is a compressed version of how you look at traditional markets, in the sense that a lot of the trading activities, a lot of volatility will tend to happen in a much quicker period of time. A lot of what we see in the traditional markets, where I've spent a lot of my career, actually mirrors the crypto markets. For instance, you see markets, they tend to rise very slowly, but fall very quickly. And this is something that happens in crypto markets in a much more extreme type of level. And I think fundamentally a lot of this is because many people in crypto tend to be in the same types of trades. The crypto ecosystem is one in which everyone tends to be very long only, so there's kind of just one kind of big trade that happens. So because of this, there's a lot of the trend following is very extreme. I think that this is something that's much more accented than in other asset classes.
Harry, how about you? I mean, I think in the media at least, we've seen a lot of reports about all of the potential, all of these supposed triggers for what caused the sell down in the market, these, continual corrections downwards. Everything from, the ETF rejection to, the Goldman, which turned out to be fake news, that Goldman was not going to have a trading desk. From the more kind of crypto fund side, how do you evaluate some of these reasons for why the market has continued to slide downwards?
Okay, so first point of view, so the market is going down. I think the problem is going because, as we know, the part of the project, they are raising Ethereum, and there's no one watching for their reaction. Like, let's say, if some scam happen, if some project they are not real, as we know, most of the project they're running from with no one watching them. So they might be very good project and with the real technique with a backup, and it might be some just a bunch of people just launching the ICO with no real things. So with this scam, when this scam happens, it might cause bad things for the market, which is more wrong.
Interesting. So that kind of goes back to this idea of having a fundamental value and fundamental kind of utility, I guess, in the overall network. And Roger, I want to go over to you for a second, because your startup, Datum, you're building. So you're one of the few actual builders on stage here. You've got your company, you're trying to add value to the overall ecosystem. Let's kind of stop talking about price and market. Let's talk about actual fundamental value, how we actually grow the ecosystem. What do you think is necessary from, thinking about what Harry said, what do you think is necessary from the ecosystem of startups and founders in order to actually provide that real value, which will have investors like Harry and me, have more confidence that perhaps this isn't just, a flash in the pan, that this isn't just, some type of, hand waving, smoke and mirrors Ponzi scheme. What do you think the startup community needs to do
So I guess for me the main problem is lack of information. When you look at coins and tokens, they're very different, right? So you have utility tokens, security tokens, payment tokens, and so on. So what that means is their value is driven by very different interactions with the token. And what we have at the moment is coin market cap, where you just see the price and you literally have no other information. Now, in a traditional financial market, you look at Bloomberg, if you're looking at a real estate fund, of course Bloomberg gives you information around the underlying assets and what really drives the price of that fund. And that is really lacking in the cryptocurrency space. And so Datum.com, right, that's a website that shows you how much smart contracts are being used. That's a first step in the right direction. But actually, if you look at it in detail, it still lacks kind of all of the information. It just lists kind of, which token smart contracts are being transacted in, instead of actually focusing on the user behavior, right? So how many users does this smart contract have, and what are they really doing outside of just moving tokens around? And like for me, it's really key. Like in our case, with our token, for example, the utilities to store data. We have this interesting problem now that kind of token holders are telling us, well, the whole kind of token economics that you came up with is not primarily focused on increasing the price of the token. It's doing what is good for the health of the network. So in our case, for example, we don't want one node in our network, the node that stakes the most, to be the one that holds all the data in the world, right? But that goes counter to what token holders want, because they want, of course, everyone to stake and lock up as much as possible. And I think we need much more kind of transparency of what actually stands behind the token, what are the mechanics, and this information needs to be out there and people need to start taking that into consideration.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Jason, from your perspective, when you're thinking about, what are the kind of metrics for fundamental value of the ecosystem and of the blockchain industry, such that people, especially investors, will come back into the market and we'll start to see that release of like institutional kind of value. So specifically, what would you like to see, especially from the government standpoint? What is the government looking for in terms of kind of helping the ecosystem to grow and establish market value?
So basically, I feel the market is going through a self-correction course. Largely, it was attributed to two things. Number one is too much money and too quickly. And so what we're seeing is a reflection of the motivation driving the actions behind people's minds. And what we are seeing is not a bad thing in the long run. And because as a regulator and as a lawmaker, what we would like to see is a strong and healthy ecosystem. An ecosystem that really focus on building the technology and enabling the data security, and to make sure that all transactions are safe, and to make sure that all the projects that are raising money and actually deliver what they promised their investors to. And so in that light, I feel what we are seeing now is actually nothing. And it's actually good in the long run for the market to clean itself up. And because right now, we're seeing a lot of bad actors driving out good actors. So let's wait for a little bit, and I feel it's also a good timing for regulators to come in to really understand, what this space is going on, and to understand it from the judiciary point of view, to understand it from investment point of view. And speaking of the regulations, I feel the year 2019 will be the year of security token. A lot of focus will be moved to investing in the actual equities of the projects, and to make sure that the assets value that we are investing in are actually backed by the real value. And so that's why this period of time, I feel it's a downtime, but it's a perfect timing for the regulators to start working on the regulations and building the self-regulatory organizations to make sure that across the region we have a collaborative network, and to understand the space better, and to make sure that good actors stay. And I'm optimistic in the long run. Crypto is here to stay, and blockchain is here to stay.
Yeah, I have to just mention one thing. I think from a trading and from a microstructure point of view, something that would really be helpful is really a maturation of the different financial products that we see in the space. If you watch the markets, you'll see that a lot of times these big movements are caused by market makers just getting out of the way. A lot of times they do that to protect themselves. They do it because they don't understand what's going on. They don't understand what the impact of different news events is. They don't understand how other participants are reacting, or in some cases possibly manipulating the markets. So the safer that a lot of different financial products that are in the crypto ecosystem become, the easier it is for market makers and liquidity providers to provide more stable marketplaces. And in turn, this will actually be a way to strengthen the crypto ecosystem.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. We started to move into this conversation about the institutionalization of the crypto space, is how I would kind of refer to it. Everything from increasing regulation to increasing numbers and variety of financial tools themselves, which may be regulated in order to kind of grow and stabilize the market. For me, I always kind of identify a few factors that I think are standing in the way of true institutional flow in the market, and where we go from hundreds of billions of dollar market cap to trillions, multi-trillion dollar. And that's obviously, one is regulation. Two is just basic familiarity with the asset class. I think that a lot of institutions are simply just not ready to take on crypto. They're still not really clear on what the risk reward is, and their core business is still too valuable for them to try and run it. And then three, to the point, is actually not enough tools and instruments. So over at Kenetic, we're building something called Caspian, which is a trading tool. But I think that there's other tools out there and other instruments. We have the CBOE and CME futures. I think there's probably some options and derivatives in the works. And then as far as venues, we now have ICE, the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange, is creating a new crypto exchange which is backed by Microsoft, Starbucks, Allianz, Susquehanna, and really kind of institutional players. I'm curious as to what other things you guys are seeing. Let's Roger start with you. Are you seeing any other evidence of the institutionalization of the crypto space, either in these tools or venues, or even just overall kind of attitudes? Where do you think we are in terms of institutionalization?
So I'm more focused on the actual transaction numbers and traction there, right? And I don't see any evidence there of any enterprise adopting, a blockchain and then doing real transactions that drive the value of that. What we're seeing now is things like, EOS guys and things like that, Kronos, those are very kind of, these are for blockchain and crypto enthusiasts, right? And it's mostly focused around gambling on the blockchain, but that's the actual traction right now, right? So this EOS guys is doing about $20 million on a day in gambling, right? Simple thing. And then so for the institutions, I mean, my big problem there would be whether I'm an institution or even an individual. I don't understand what I'm buying if it's not like a base coin. But if it's a token, right? What are the dynamics of this? And if you look at the traditional market, for anything that you buy in that market, there is a white paper, right? So if you look at derivatives, warrants, options, there is a regulated form how the issuer has to disclose what are the underlying mechanics, and that includes examples of upside, downside, and different scenarios, right? And I think what needs to happen in the crypto space is that we need to have this sort of document, right? So, but that is a white paper that actually discloses the real risks. And like we deal with token holders every day that simply don't understand what they actually bought, right? So, yeah.
Harry, how about you? I mean, you're thinking about this institutionalization. From your vantage point in China, obviously China has had a lot of its own kind of ups and downs in terms of its relationship to crypto trading. Where do you think it goes, and how does China fit into the overall picture? Obviously, and how do you describe the current situation of where China is related to crypto trading?
Well, as I know now in China, the situation is like Chinese government is very negative attitude about ICO. However, oppositely, they actually quite positive and supply for the blockchain technique to grow. like the blockchain growing between like entity industry and also entity economy, which means as we know now the market is weak and struggling, and the trading volume is down from like 90%, and the investors are all started losing face about blockchain. I think there will be another new element which will influence the market, and this new element might be the key to bring market to war again, and which make me thinking maybe if possible for security token or asset token to become reality in the future. And I want to hear others think about that.
Yeah, I mean, for us at Kenetic, we're super interested in security tokens. We made a really big bet in a company called SharesPost, which is a security token issuance platform, but also secondary trading, so fully licensed in the US. Mark, is that something you've been thinking about as well from the trading standpoint in terms of the work that you're doing? Are you also planning for the kind of rise of security tokens as we are at Kenetic?
Yeah, we are actually. Security tokens is something that we're spending a lot of time on. We just hired a person who's going to be full-time looking at the laws of security tokens, both where we are located and internationally. So part of what we want to do at our company is we want to tokenize different types of trading strategies. So some of the funds that I've worked at before, we would trade very stable, very kind of high sharp trading strategies, and these would be very exclusive. They would only really be allowed to be invested by very high net worth individuals already, or sovereign wealth funds. And so part of the vision of what we're trying to do is to open that up to as wide of a populace as possible. And we think that with security tokens, that's a great way to do that.
Jason, how about you? I mean, you're the one that brought up security tokens. When you're thinking about from the government standpoint and regulation of kind of crypto trading generally, where does Taiwan fit? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, there are not as many kind of crypto exchanges in Taiwan as you might find originally in China, and then many move to Hong Kong, as in the US. What's the status of kind of crypto trading regulation in Taiwan, and where do you think it's heading?
That's right. So I feel what we need today in regulation is innovative regulation. Technology grows exponentially, but organizational and our design of government is needed. So there's always going to be a gap of how these governance and also technology won't be able to catch up with each other. So what we need in the regulatory space is a sandbox. In Taiwan, in 2017, December, we passed a financial sandbox regulation, which basically provides a waiver or exemption, if you will, to allow startups, or in this space, crypto companies that are interested in making experimentations. And we offer a 3-year testing period without legal liability, and also government work with you to define what type of regulation is needed, and also industries work with government to help craft the law and the regulations that is futuristic and also forward thinking. So I feel, if the crypto and the blockchain space, as we move forward, especially moving from founders raise tokens and end up just dumping in the markets just for the sake of making quick in, quick out sort of mentality. And if we move that direction to a security token, we will have a much more stabilized market and really crystallize the blockchain applications that are really needed across all sectors. And I feel if you think about the global trading value, the sum of the crypto value is still very small. It's actually less than 1/10 of the global trading value. All the central governments are thinking crypto is not going to replace fiat. Crypto would be an alternative finance tool for governments to hedge and to build a risk-averse financial strategies. And I feel governments around the world will start buying in more and more Bitcoin, especially to understand the market, especially use it as a reserve, and also to start coming up with different tools for trade finance, for global cross-border remittances. I don't know if any of you read news that the country Argentina has already announced it's going to bypass the SWIFT to start doing the country-to-country remittance will be purely crypto. And coming in November, there will be a G20 government summit, and I believe there will be big announcements on the securities tokens regulations. So watch this space. The year 2019 will be very, very exciting.
Yeah, I think even here in Hong Kong, one of our friends from the Hong Kong Monetary Authority was here today, kind of looking around at someone who's been looking at the space for a while. They're actually working on a pretty interesting project around trade finance with, I think, 8 or 9 banks. So while I know a lot of the criticism about the crypto space is that there are no real kind of use cases, actually I think in the background, governments and large institutions and banks are actually building a lot. And so I agree with you. I think in 2019 we're going to see a lot of these kind of incubated projects, large scale, central bank level types of incubated projects come out. But in the meantime, we're still stuck in this kind of bear market. Every day it seems like we're up, we're moving forward one step and back 2 steps. What are you guys most focused on during this kind of downtime? Are you still actively looking at the markets in the way that you used to from your particular perspectives, or are you focusing on other areas until the market comes back? Harry, let's start with you. What are you kind of focused on during this kind of bear market?
We're currently focusing from transfer from investment instead from investment to community running services, and also provide the services to make connections for projects like they need any help with the LP, or they need help with the crypto fund and also exchanges. So now we have a bunch of group, mainly focusing around community in China, which is quite important job, because in China as we know, there's no Telegram, and you cannot go Google or YouTube, so it's quite different and quite difficult running community in China. So I
just want to press on that for a second. It's quite interesting. I'm a big fan of the practice of community, big believer, especially with the Ethereum meetup. It's like, what is possible in China right now? How do you grow and maintain communities when so much seems to be kind of bad? I'm sure a lot of people here would be interested to know what can be done.
It's like kind of going like kind of on the ground, as you know, we all use WeChat, right? And in WeChat you can have groups. Each group, the maximum is like 500 people inside. So, for example, if you want to have a size big like 5,000, you need 10 groups, and that will be the costing, because within this 10 group, you need each group have a manager, admin to run the society, to answer the questions, posting the news to each group, and not to one. And also, as we know, the government already very negative about the news, the website of the community of blockchain. So the community, the news marketing, like we will all go through WeChat. It's like posting all the articles to each group. It's kind of a hard job to do.
Sure. Okay. So similar to what's happened before, but more arduous. All right. We've just got a few minutes left. Let's look forward. Let's try to look forward. What do you guys think is going to be happening next? What are you looking forward to in the next 6 months? when do you feel like the market is going to kind of take a turn, and what are the types of the kind of signs that you're looking towards? Jason, let's start with you.
I'm actually focusing a lot on creating a self-regulatory guidelines to make sure that at this point in time, all the players, the exchanges, the projects, and applications can come together to self-regulate. So when the next bull market comes, then we have good players essentially pumping up the real positive exchange. And secondly, Taiwan, I'm launching a blockchain economic zone in New Taipei City. It's a 12,000 square meter space. What we're building is building a consumer-facing retail experiences that enable by blockchain. And I feel it's important that every citizen on their daily life level know what the cryptocurrency is, so that they are not misinterpreted by it, or they are not intimidated by it, or they are not driven by the grid and the profit. So I'm working a lot to build up the understanding of the education and the knowledge to disseminate it to the public, general public on the blockchain and cryptocurrency. And I feel in our next generation, if this generation is called internet generation, our next generation should be blockchain generation. And it's super important that everyone on the stage in this room, we have is a call to action that we should all nurture this technology and make sure that it's in the hands of good people and use it for the good cause.
Right. Mark, what do you think? What are you looking forward to?
So when I first started trading, one of the most important things I learned was don't be emotional. So don't trade on emotions. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I think that that's something that that I personally do, and that I hope that the cryptocurrency ecosystem does. I think that the biggest driver of where this ecosystem will go is productivity, economic productivity, from people building things, from people being interested in technology, interested in space. So I hope that that continues, and I think that that will be a positive indicator.
Roger?
Yes, I'm picking up on that. I think we're just on the verge of seeing the first kind of real small adoption. And you can actually find some projects and some real numbers, right, that are actually driven by kind of fundamental values and not just by the overall market. I'm looking forward to see that more next year. And then, like, the other thing that I'm personally really not happy about is there's so much fake data in the market, right? So you look at the volumes on some exchanges. So there's a website, Blockchain Transparency Institute. They published an alternative exchange volume ranking a few weeks ago, and it completely doesn't match what is on CoinMarketCap, right? And probably the real truth lies somewhere in between. But I think so, going into next year, we'll definitely see that kind of more cleaned up, and I think that's really important for the market, so that we can go look at real fundamental data. Like on the stock market, you don't necessarily just invest based on a hype, right? Sure, there's followers, but you do look at fundamental stuff and say, okay, this seems like a business model that works, and I think that will start to happen big time next year.
All right.
Yeah, so as a crypto fund, we actually at a bad time, and it's like a winter to us. But step by step, I think it's a very good opportunity for us to earn more experience and learn more about how we gonna deal with the bear market, and then when the market comes back, we will be much better.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm also quite eager for the market to come back, and I think that it will come back. It is a cycle. And I think that for me, I'm looking probably for either sideways or slightly further downward towards the end of the year, with next year being hopefully the turning point. And the types of things that I'm looking for is actually the continued expansion of the community itself. The number of people who are still coming into blockchain, not as speculators and traders, but actually as builders and investors, investing both time and attention, like yourselves, to come into the space and learn, I think is only increasing. I also think that the expansion and growth of enterprise and government and non-government organizations is continuing as well. So despite the kind of downturn of the market, I'm actually still very, very bullish, almost in an empirical way, because of the evidence that I'm seeing of the fundamental technology continuing to evolve and mature, and people who are building on top of it continuing to invest their time and their energy in it. So I'm quite excited about 2019, and although it was a painful 2018, and I don't think all the pain and all the bloodletting is done yet. I do think that 2019, for those who are brave enough or wise enough to hold on and continue, staying strong, will win out. So why don't we wrap it up there? Why don't we give our esteemed panel a round of applause, and thank you very much.